Becca Breen, welcome to Better Questions. So you were gracious enough to put me on your podcast, but I think the real show is when I get to hold the mic and ask you the question. So welcome.
Thank you. Slightly nervous of what are these better questions? What are the questions I'm going to have? But I'm ready. And my first question back to you is, what is this beautiful mural behind you?
So it's quite distracting. I should get rid of it. I have asked for a flag. Remind me in our next conversation to talk about why I don't have a flag. But yeah,
what flag? Which flag?
Well, so there's we do two podcasts. We got Better Questions and we have Atomic Construction. And I think that if I go relax right now, I'm going to go off screen, you know? So yeah. I'd like to have them as legit flags, but that's my, I don't know what you would call it. It's my logo, but I did it as a coin. So one of my buddies from the Marine Corps, I don't know. Are you familiar with the challenge coin tradition at all?
Share details.
So it's oh no. Because if any of my military friends follow, they're gonna be like, "Dude, you totally butchered that." But essentially, it's a rite of passage. It's a rite of passage. Like you go to a unit and you'll get a coin, and you can carry that coin, and then some people will make their own coins. And it's big in the military. It's somewhat in the LEO, like law enforcement and fire. But it's you present a coin. If you look at somebody they're in the military and they present a coin, and you don't have a coin to give them back, then you're buying a drink. And I will never forget, somebody presented it to me while I was in, but I didn't know the tradition, and I didn't even know I owed him a drink. So anyway, we have remind me to I'll send you my coin. So I made my challenge coin. So that's a little image of my challenge coin, and I can't tell you how many, but I have a significant amount of hidden messages in my challenge coin. So there's a lot to it. So I'll send you a couple.
Are these nickel? Are they made out of gold? What are we talking about here?
I wish I had.
For those of us that have not done our duty in serving, well, yeah, what is the secret?
Silver dollar size, a little bigger. You can get them really big, but they're just little. My buddy that does them will make you can make them in the shape of a crayon box, so they can take all sorts of shapes and forms. But I'd say a $50 to a little bit larger, probably 1 inch to 2 inches circumference, and just I don't know what it's actually made out of. But I'm going to send you one. You're going to have a few of them.
Please, and then I won't have something, so I will buy you and your wife and whoever else drinks when it comes. But what a cool thing, right? If we talk about, for those of you that haven't listened to my podcast, I work in mental health. That's my background. And making wellness accessible to people. How to human, essentially, is what I'm talking about. And
how to human. Have you coined that yet? We got a trademark? That's awesome.
No, but that's just, I think it's important. How do we human? And in this, though, we talk about societies or community, and a token would be literally, in your case, a coin. And I feel like I would shortchange it, for lack of a better term, if I said, oh, let's do what the military does and have that as part of your community. But as you talk about having a flag behind you, is it worthy enough to then have coins that you can trade each other? I don't know, but there's something in that. And men and women who serve, they have my utmost respect. And so I don't want to take that away from that community. However, what a cool thing to trade. So there's just something in my head right now where I'm that's what we need in life, is some sort of let me barter this with you. But if I mess up, the consequences of drink, not my honor or my dignity or anything like that. I mean, maybe a little bit of that dignity, but it's, hey, let's trade, let's laugh, let's have fun. So there's something in this coin that I see.
I love it. Well, I've been meaning to actually, the guy that does them, somebody I served with, I think I said that, but and I don't think I wanted to bring it to construction. And I think if we're talking about wellness, and how to human, I think, I'll speak on behalf of the military community. I think we're going to be okay if you guys want to maybe take some of our traditions, and maybe not. I shouldn't speak on behalf of the military, but I think we can do something, even if it's pins or something. But yeah, it's cool. It is. It's really cool practice. Not everybody does it either. I mean, it's I guess it's a little arrogant to go have your own coin. Normally they're units. I know I've served with the 4th Marines Alpha Company. They'll have their coin or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to bring him on. So I'll make sure I'll bring him on, and then we can talk about how we bring the tradition over your way. But are we good to move on from the coin? I don't know.
Yeah, I never heard about why an elephant behind your head, but that's okay.
Oh, curious.
Why specifically an elephant with whatever else?
You know what? So I've just been drawn, and I think I hope we get into this today on your side of it, but I've just been on this deep and revelatory spiritual kick. And I don't know, like elephants have just been like, what's your like, I always want to be a lion or an eagle or whatever. Like when I was a kid, and it's like, dude, who in their right effing minds with an elephant, like a herd of elephants? And who does? Stupid humans, right? And it's like, I think so. The holding company is Ivory Impact. I think like the majesty of ivory, the enormity of an elephant, the compassion, like everything that an elephant is to me is magic. And I think it's the best of the world. And I think, just a short while ago, we were on the brink of like extincting them, right? Like we were going to wipe them off the face of the world, and they're making a comeback. And I think you can probably chart our spiritual awakening to like, I mean, I don't know. Do you ever wonder like what creatures roam this earth before our stupid humans like just wipe them off the face of it? Like the elephant was kind of the last one to me. And that's not true. There's some awesome animals still around. So yeah, my tributary, I hope to embody all the good principles of an elephant. And are there any bad? Like, you know what I mean? Is there any negative to an elephant?
Yeah. If you haven't watched, Nat Geo has it. I think it's on Disney Plus and YouTube and other places, but Nat Geo it's called Queens, and it talks about different female leaders within Animal Kingdom. And the elephant one talks about how some female elephants will go back to places that they haven't been for 40 years, and they know exactly how to lead the rest of their pack that way. Packs? What are elephants? What are they roaming? Packs?
I'm assuming it's a herd, but I could be wrong.
Well, to the listeners, please educate us, because I don't know what it is. But nonetheless, the matriarch will take them, and to have that wisdom and knowledge of 40 years later. And some of the consequences are now that there's roads and other highways and other things built that are in towns and stuff that are starting to affect the elephant herds. That would be it. Elephant herds. But nonetheless, they really cool wisdom. So speaking on that, super cool. Okay.
We're going
leaving the animal kingdom into the human herd. What are your questions for us?
We should set up, and it would be fun, because that's one of the things that I've been reticent about and regretful is like we're over here contributing to the bad with more and more, like we're in the more and more, like generating more content. But it'd be really cool. I don't know, like where your following's at, mine's nowhere. So I say that with full humility, but it'd be fun to just kind of like jam on like some of this. Like I would love to know, like that Nat Geo, and like what are you watching? What are you consuming? Like I think like that's the great failure, in my opinion, of social media and all this more and more and more is like let's like hang out with some stuff together, like beyond just like, and we do it with Bible study, but like why not? Like anyway, it would be cool to set something like that up to see like what have you been consuming, part of the vision. But like I haven't even introduced you, so let's back up. Like who is Becca Breen? You're going to teach people how to human. So background, I went to school with your husband, did not know you in college, loved him, recruited him. And then, we stay in touch every now and again. And then my belief is we were on two very similar paths, and you recognized something I was doing. I saw something you were doing. I'm not really sure. I think you were the first mover. The woman is always smarter than the man, right? It's like, hey, I think there's some alignment. So I put out just enough stupid content for you to be like, hey, I think we're up to something similar. So you've got a pod, I've got a pod, and now we're swapping pods. So tell me, what did I miss? Take us like a little bit from the beautiful day of your entering the world to today, and tell me what you're up to.
Yeah, I'll make it as short or as long as needed. First and foremost, my husband loves and adores you and wishes that he interacted with you more. So when I say, oh, I'm getting to meet with Kevin Hohe now, he's like, what? How is he? So madman crush from my hubby's side. And I'm like, I don't really know him, but I know how much you enjoy him. And when we get to see you quarterly or every 5 years or whatever it is, it's always a joy. So thank you for having me, and shout out for my hubby too. Yeah. And then about me, grew up in Colorado and grew up in a household. I say I'm the granddaughter of a plumber and the granddaughter of a CEO. So from early on, I learned a lot about different stories and how that makes us who we are, and call it what it is. From a young age, also, I've loved to ask questions, super curious, super analytical. And I just like to have fun. I'm a person that's glass is half full, and I don't know why, but that's like innately where I'm at, or some of those pieces from the people before me, and then also some pieces about me. Played sports growing up, did different things and stuff. and just wanted to get to know the world, wanted to get to know human stories. Went to Boulder where I met my hubby. And after that, we went on some dates, but also had brokenness throughout my life in different ways. And my faith is what knowing who I belong to has shaped how then I operate in the world. And talking about Christianity or talking about faith or whatever. And we can get into the pros, cons, ups, downs, and all arounds of that if we want to. But really saying like, okay, I am like the creation of a creator. Okay, I can walk into a room and hold space for myself and therefore for others. And confidence comes out of that and all these things. But in my moments that I've struggled, I've had really solid people around me. And I'm grateful for that because I've had moments that I've struggled. So college happens, split up with an ex that was really ugly, then met Nick, and a friend who introduced us was like, see that guy over there? I'm like, of course, he's tall, dark, and handsome. Like, yes, I see him, but I'm not going down the road. So we went on some dates, got to know each other a little bit in college. But then I went to Guatemala. I was like, I need to just separate myself from what I've known for so long. Let me go to Guatemala. And I lived there for a year and it just was so healing. I saw how indigenous people lived. I saw how international people lived. I saw just life and engaged with that. And while I was down there, really witnessed the power of human story and of figuring out like what's worth living. They have a saying down there and it's called estoy viviendo, pues estoy bien, or I am living, therefore I'm good. Like, and it's the slang terms of that, but it's if that's my threshold to say, okay, I am living, therefore I'm good. What a perspective, right? Because anything then that comes my way is like, nah, it's worth it. Or in the hard, like I can find healing. And so that was back in 2012. Flash forward 13 years now. Nick and I reconnected, mom of two, happily married, still continuing to work in the mental health field. And just my focus really is how do we bridge our cultures, our individuality, all of that rather than separate it. Because I think in a world, especially right now, and that's why I was like, Kevin, let's connect. I don't even really know you, but I know people who know you and they love you. So let's connect. I think I can bet on them.
It's a small sample set. You had a small sample set.
I do. And so it's a little bit of a risk, but I'll take that risk. We'll see how it goes. So far, it's been awesome. Is we have really loud, we can talk politics, we can talk race, we can talk religion, we can talk anything. We are really loud on both ends of the spectrum, but most of us are what I call the quiet majority. And they say silent, but I think quiet majority. And so I'm like, I'm pretty middle of the road. I want food on the table. I want people to find what makes them have life and life to the full. And I want people to live healthy from birth to death as best as we can in the moments we can, that we're not alone and we have people around us. So those are kind of some of my pillars. And so when I saw you post what you've like your journey and where you're coming in, I'm like, that's it. Like we need more of us to say, hey, I'm out here too. Hey, me too. Hey, me too. Hey, me too. Because globally, locally, I'm in Denver now. But when I travel, people don't care most of the things that I believe. They just want to relate. And so I really haven't met someone that I'm like, you suck. Each person I meet, I'm like, dang, tell me your story. And I might share something. They're like, really? That's what you think? Or they may be like, hey, I kind of disagree on that. And then we share and then we go on our own ways. But majority of us are just like, let's kick it. Let's play ball. Let's dig deep into life. Let's serve other humans the best that we can, whatever it may be. So that's where I'm coming in, is like, what I've experienced is people want to connect. People want to live life to the full. And so how do we do that? And how do I do it in a more public sphere? So that's what I'm coming in with.
That's awesome. Let's talk. Let's just like, and I'm sure everybody can go to your pod and find it. But so you are in the wellness space. Tell me what that looks like. Just, I know you've told me before, but for everybody else, and then just do a quick, if you don't mind, elevator, if you're willing, on, I think, is it Wild and Well Together?
Yeah. Wild and Well Together.
Yeah. Just tell me about that quick.
Thanks. That's so kind of you to even, offer it. So background, I have my master's in mental health, clinical and school counseling. And I love working with youth. That's what most of us are. We're just old youth. And so I've worked with youth for the last 15 years. And so in different capacities, whether that be residential facilities, whether that be in schools, public, private, whatnot. And then also on the like professional side, one-on-one counseling, things like that. And then 2 years ago, got pregnant with our second child, and I said, hey, I want to come out and have the ability to not work full time. And so said, I want to come out of that. And the University of Denver had an opportunity to teach as an adjunct professor and do some data work and analysis and research. And so I went into that and have switched over into part-time work with DU and love it. I get to teach 2 courses, which is really like group work and checking in on students in the graduate level saying, hey, what are you doing? What are you learning in the clinical setting, in the school-based setting, all of that. And helping them walk along their journey as they learn to be counselors themselves. And so it's been super fun, anything from roles and responsibilities to them sharing about and processing through addiction or in the clinical settings, things like that. So that's where I am professionally. And then Wild and Well Together, it would have been last spring. I really had the urge to say, actually, it was my students were like, you need to put, they call me Miss B, but like, hey, you need to put some of this stuff into the world on your socials or wherever, because I do what's called 60 seconds to centered. And it's this idea of our cortisol levels can drop. So our stress levels can drop, and our serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, some of the things that allow happiness, this is putting it in very simplistic terms, but allow happiness or positivity or regulation to come into our brain and our body. That can happen within 60 seconds through breath work, through grounding tools, through many other things, but we'll leave it at those 2. So I said, okay, great. I'll put that into the world, 60 seconds to centered. And I have, and so many people of all different ages are like, hey, can you teach me this one? Can you tell me about this? And so that's just landed and it's taken off. And so that's been something where I'm like, okay, 60 seconds centered. That's 60 seconds. Social media is a tool and a vehicle. However, there's a lot of negativity and I want long form. So then in the spring, I was talking to some coaches, some mentors, and they're like, have you thought about doing a podcast? And I call it what it is. I'm like, I don't think I'm qualified to do that. And they're like, what makes you not? And they really dug into the ego of it. And I said, okay, great. If I have a willingness to share my background, to share mental health, and to say, hey, it's worth us getting to know each other a little bit better. And so Wild and Well Together, the idea is whether we're wild, whether we're well, bottom line is that we do life together. And hopefully we move the needle more towards the well as we do life from birth to death. So there's practical tools, there's community engagement, and then there's a whole lot of laughter of storytelling. And that's kind of the essence of the pod, How to Human.
That's awesome. Is that the pod? Is it Wild and Well, How to Human? It is.
No, it's Wild and Well Together.
But I'm loving it, by the way. Whenever I get the clothing line up, which is a whole nother story, like we're definitely How to Human. That's going somewhere. If you haven't, I love that.
I love it. If you're a merch guy, I will learn.
I'm not. No, we'll talk at a separate moment about. I'm the king of false starts. I am, but yeah, we've got great ambitions. It's like we're trying to come out of the gate here. So,
well, here's something that I appreciate about you is there are a lot of people, including myself in different seasons, that are dreamers without doers. And I've learned I can only dream as much as I do. And I can only do as much as I dream. Like those go hand in hand. And so when I saw you actually stepping into the arena and when we've continued to, I'm like, oh no, he's serious about this, because I've told Nick, I'm like, I'm kind of staking some of my, it's a little bit nerve wracking going on and saying, nope, I'm going to take a stake in the game publicly.
Oh, it's crazy.
And so this is me saying like, I appreciate you also doing so and following through, because there's a lot, including myself in previous seasons, like I said, that are like, I don't think it's worth it. And I'm at a place I'm like, I'm worth it. Who's with it? Like, who's with me? Because I'm in it.
Well, I appreciate your courage and I appreciate your marks. I mean, I wish I could say I was as contemplated as you. Like you knew the stakes going. I was just like, you know what? I got to, and like, anyway, I don't want to make this all about me here, but yeah, it's a disaster. Even this is like, you know, I don't mind this as far as like staking my reputation, because I'm like, it's long form, but I don't know. Yeah. I used to not respect enough the people that had built followings, and neither of us are doing it for the followings, but yeah, like there's a lot of, you got to be, I don't want to, I'm not saying anything coherent, but yeah, God bless you and being willing to say, hey, I'm doing this. And I think the thing, I feel your tension, and I don't know that I'm feeling accurately. You can maybe tell me, but it's like, it's very hard. And I'm not sure what you're after, but I have not heard you say, you know, I want this many people, I want this many dollars, I'm going to monetize. It's like, hey, I just want people to be well. And nobody knows what to do with that. Quite honestly, nobody knows and my mom's like, And this is a great moment. My mom was like, my friends are like, what are you doing? And I tell them that you want to change the world, but I don't really know how to explain it. I'm like, yeah, you can't right now. Like, you just can't, because it doesn't make sense. Because like, you know, you got to, the way the rules are set up, this is just completely it. Well, I think if you agree, like that, the goal is to go help as many people and bring people together. The way to monetize, I have ways to monetize that in a way that's responsible, but it's very hard to not do it and be gross. It's very, very hard to do it and not be gross.
So that's my question back to you would be, and my answer is I'm not sure. Is there a way to do this and gain followers, because that's the reality of it, and not be salacious or not be over the top and be super authentic? I'm trying it and I'm committed to that. But what are your thoughts? Is there a way to do this and not have to be salacious?
So first you have to define salacious so that the stupid contractor in me can follow. Define that. And I think I know, but I would like the Becca definition.
I was gonna say, I don't know Webster's, but to me, do I have to show up in a bikini? Nothing wrong with girls who do.
Yeah.
But do I have to show my body to then get the respect of my brain as a woman? Or do we have to do tricks and cool visuals and all sorts of things, have elephants that are super cool behind us? No, I'm just playing. But like, what do we have to do? Or is the content enough that we don't have to have within the first 4 seconds something to then grab someone's mind to then have them listen? Because on social media, that is how it is, of how the algorithms work. And that's so bad for our brain. When we talk about neuroscience, that actually is awful for our brain. And so I'm like, I'm not down to clown there. However, I am down to figure out how to build a community that gets served, that is loved well, that is challenged in our thoughts, that allows people to find others who are like, hey, I just want to kick it on the playground with you. Remember when we used to do that? Remember when we'd talk about heart, or when we'd make best friend necklaces, or when we would show up and share our sandwiches or whatever, like those types of things. That's what I want to create. That's what I'm committed to creating, and call it what it is. In some ways, I'm like, where did Mamdani start and where did Charlie Kirk start on both sides of something where they're like, nope, I'm not sure what I'm getting at, but I know that there's a movement of people who want to be seen. Now for you and I, it's like, okay, politics are here and there and all over the place, but really, how do we human? How do we say this is a society? That's why when you text me about, like, what'd you call it? The do-gooders or whatever. I'm like, yeah, let's create a do-gooder society where people know if I'm a part of this, my money's going to go to bettering other nonprofits around the world or communities that I believe in. My money's going to go to being fed mentally, physically, all these different things. And so that's where I'm at, is starting to build that out. It's so early on. And that's why some of these things, my mom asked the same thing. She's like, what do I tell my friends? And I'm like, have them listen, because it's just growing as it does, because it's organic. And I'm not trying to put a face up and a front to say, this is exactly what we're doing, because exactly what we're doing is learning how to push into the unknown right now, because it feels very separatist right now. And that's not where I'm at. So salacious would be, going back to your initial question, salacious would be, do I have to do inflammable things or have bright, shiny lights in order to make this happen and catch on?
Yeah. And my answer is absolutely not. But it's going to be a lot harder, I think, for us. And so I'm speaking as though I know. I don't know. I feel I have a clear path to the end zone. And I think I couldn't summarize it in a 30-minute segment with you here. I could take that. But I believe wholeheartedly, absolutely, unequivocally, there's a want, there's a need, there's a base, and the trick is to find that base and then to be able to define what this is in a way that's relatable. And I think that right now it's very hard to do. And this would be a terrible pitch for anybody that's listening, but it's like, come follow along and sit and watch and wait. And I think to give you and the listener a little idea is all it takes is one. And this is an invitation too. If is one capable person or two or a small group of people that say, hey, we're going to build something great and we're not going to pervert it. And it's going to be, and it's not to say that that's not going on. I don't want to say that that's novel, but like with that clear intent, and like my intent is the same as what it sounds like yours is like, I just want to build unlikely bridges. Right. And like, I think the problem is, everything we've done so far is some form of and I shouldn't say, I don't deal in absolutes, but there's a lot of echo chambers of good, but there's a lot of, like it's got to be Christian. It's got to be agnostic. It's got to be apolitical. It's got to be like, it's got to, and it doesn't register in today's system. So what I can promise you and the listener is I'll die trying. And I've been saying that for 13 years. I've been saying that is like, we can bring people together. People want to be together. For frick's sake, man. We are tribal creatures. Like, we want to be in community. And I think there was a few mistakes in Zuckerberg. One day I'm going to talk to him. He's like, dude, why'd you sell him? Why did you sell us? Why didn't you bring it? And like, we did that. I think we the people would not be on Facebook if it wasn't free. And then the consequence of it being free is we got sold. Right. And so I would say, I have 3 vessels in motion that will make me that independently wealthy and stupid person that's just going to repurpose all of it. All it would take is one of those uber wealthy people to come and listen to this and say, hey, I don't know what that is, but I believe in y'all and you can do it. And it only takes 1, 2, 3 of them, and then a few thousand, then a few million people that say, hey, like, and my big thing for me is like, we live in America. We're raising billions. And I don't know if I said this on your pod. So if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but this is my sermon, is like, listen, we can raise millions, hundreds of millions, if not billions, to watch porn. We can raise billions, if not trillions, to make war devices to kill people. Just give me 1% of that. And let's go like love on the world and eradicate what I consider a complete failure of all Americans. Is like, we have kids that are hungry. We have kids that are homeless, and those are our kids. Those are like American kids. And like, what is our shared identity in America anymore? We don't have one. We need to restore that. And then I think, you call, I can't remember, you say how to human, and you brought up the do-gooder society. I think I'm calling, oh no, sorry. The quiet majority. I call it the we 90. It's just we 90, the 90% of people that aren't on the wing nuts. It's like, we just want the best for us and our community and the world around us, the best for the most people, right? And it's like, well, how do we do that? It's like, well, we put our selfish profits aside for 1 freaking minute, and we say, what's best for whatever our sphere of influence is. And like, if you're running a 500 person company, you have a sphere of influence of probably 1,000, if not 2,000. And anyway. So yeah, I can answer your question confidently. Yes, it can and it will be done, and it might not be us. I'm seeing a lot. I don't know if you're seeing. There's a lot of, I can't think of the people that Vic. There's like 5. There's no shortage of people that are out there loving the world, and it's like, all right, let's bring those under a roof and let's give ourselves like, let's go and do it with intention. And I see it. I know how we can do it. I can't. If I were to speak now, I'd probably sound crazy. But yeah, as soon as we have enough money to throw around and go do things, then we can raise more money. And at the end of the day, I think the following comes. It's nebulous to most people right now. It's like, and I'm sure your mom and my mom love us dearly. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing? It's like, yeah, I get that, but just hang tight. Just hang tight is what I'd say.
Love that. No, that's a good vote of confidence. And I fortunately do not stake my wealth on this. And that's a fun thing to say. Like, my goal is to make as much money as I can to repurpose it. And so that's what I say, is to repurpose it back into communities, because I do believe that that's the power of having money, is to then say like, okay, now let's turn it in for someone else. Whereas if I stay in the school system, I have a cap of what I can make. And therefore, within that, it's putting food on the table, it's doing a few things. And the caps that we have in certain sectors compared to the lack of that in others, or the open ceiling, is amazing. And so that's why I'm like, or it's really disheartening depending on where you work in mental health. And so that's why I'm like, this is great too, because I have the freedom, right? This is a risk in entrepreneurship, is I have the freedom to fail. I also have the freedom to take this where I want and where we want as a society and as a community, to say, okay, great, let's repurpose this money into veterans' mental health. Let's repurpose this to pour everything we can into consolidating anti-human trafficking, to make that no longer a thing in the US, to allow kids to not have food, like to not have a food shortage. I don't understand why that exists in the 21st century in America. And frankly, most of the world, but especially in America, where there's multi-billionaires and millionaires and average, I think the average salary right now, we just read, is like 63,000. And I was actually much higher than what I thought in America. And so I'm like, if that's the reality, why do we still have hundreds of thousands of kids not having food on their table? So I hear you. You are preaching to my choir, and I'm stoked. And so that's where I come back to the place of like, okay, let's figure out. And I've gone through business plans over and over and over again to say, like, what is my mission? What is my vision? And I keep coming back to human stories, bridging the gaps. It's okay to be okay. And and that will continue to mold, and that'll keep us afloat until we figure out what is that exact thing that takes off. And maybe it's none of those things, and maybe it's something within that. So that's where I'm coming in tonight.
That's awesome. No, I think, yeah, we're gonna do some stuff. I could tell you that. I can't tell you quite when, but we're gonna do some stuff. So what on that vein, if you were to dream your biggest dream and you didn't have to put the filters of reality, and I do this with goal setting with my people, I don't think there's anything wrong with an overambitious goal. I do think there's something wrong with always calibrating to what you can do instead of striving for what you might do, right? So if you get to just take all the restrictions that society might put it on, like the world that you want to see, what is it? What if you have accomplished everything that you set out to do on your wildest dream, the one that's not practical, not realistic, do you have that?
Yeah, it'd be that people don't feel alone in the world.
Okay.
That they don't die alone. But that's like, if I could do that for 8 billion people, that is my like world peace. More realistically, because I can't touch 8 million people, or like operate with 8 billion, excuse me, I said million, but billion. But realistically, it would be that there'd be chapters in every state. Think VFW, think some of those old affair gathering homes, gathering houses, and that there would be chapters in every city in America that allowed people to gather, to break bread once a week, to do life together in community, that wasn't bound by race, that wasn't bound by religion, that wasn't bound by political stance.
Yeah.
If we could have chapters that taught how to human, and I know when I show up, other people, and I can come as I am, whether that mean addiction, whether that mean divorce, whether that mean me living my best life and coming really whole, wherever that is on that spectrum, I can show up and I'm going to break a meal. I'm going to break bread. I think it's so important to have meals. That's why we say you have a seat at the table. That is kind of our tagline, actually, is like, you have a seat at the table. That invitation, show up as you are. It might be rowdy. It might be awkward. It might be whatever, but come, you're invited. And then practical, applicable tools weekly that teaches, or at least gives a framework of how to do life. Because I've done that in the religious sector. I've done that in the educational sector. I've done that in the mental health sector. Like all of those people, to your point, are craving tribal community. And so how do we do that in what our ancestors and thousands of years, go back prehistoric, right? Like from then until now, it has been communal gatherings. Right now, we are in a desert of communal gatherings. And so how do we create that? And then the last piece would be that then as those chapters, they would get to decide, hey, our quote unquote offering, our fee, our tax, whatever you want to call it, but the pot of money that we have, we get to repurpose into either someone in the community that needs it within our cohort, or we get to give it to someone there, and also to this organization or these 5 organizations that we believe are doing good in this world. And so the money is not to make profit to then get wealthier. It's to make profit to then give back to the community. Because right now, whether it be government, religion, whatever, we have a shortage of our most vulnerable being taken care of. And so while then also getting opportunity to climb the ladder and get out of poverty too. So that's kind of the dynamic. That's the 5-year goal. That would be pie in the sky, dream big. Chapters around the nation, and then global. Sure. Let's go there too. So the invitation will be, get those tables, get those long tables together and start meeting, and there'll be content, there'll be support, there'll be all those things. But if it can happen at $1 billion for each political, for each religion, for all those things, why can't it happen for war? Like we can talk about all that. Why can't that happen for communal living again?
It can. It just takes a couple people that are silly enough to believe it could. So here we go.
So you can do it in middle of nowhere, wherever you are in the world, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, and I can do it, start it in Denver, right? Or I can start it in St. Louis, or I can start it in Guatemala, wherever, right? Like I'm not saying I'm the head and out of it. I want to be in the grassroots while also realizing, okay, what's the organization take? What's that look like?
That's awesome. I love your vision. I think it's going to come true.
And coming back to you, I want to hear those to see the alignment. What is your 5-year or your pie in the sky? We call it. What is your
As I ask the question, I'm like, man, if she flips this back, the day in which the China and America are working together to build a better world. The chief imam, and there's no such thing. I'd love to see Islam, and I'd love to see the Pope and an Islamic leader in the same room figuring out, what's best. Like where are our intersections? We're always looking for the whys where we go the other way. So if we can stop, I don't want to say that we're all going to see the world the same, but if we can stop looking for divisions and start looking for intersections, I think things move. I think, and I'll say it here. I don't know if you've tuned into any of my stuff, but like, I think, as great as religion is, my faith has been huge in my life. It's like, we got to let go of that tendency. Like if you're damned to hell, if you don't believe like I believe, I don't. It's an impasse, right? We gotta kind of acknowledge our neighbor as our friend and not a foe. So more friends, less foes is what I would say.
For sure, and ultimately, am I the one with the power to decide where you go? No, I'm not. Like I can share my story, and maybe the spirit will move within me or vice versa. Maybe I'll become someone so different than who I am, or maybe it's not that different, to be honest. But spiritually, religiously, politically, whatever, but that's not going to become because you shout at me or you shoot, right? Or you force me to believe something or sit with you. However, as I sit with you, as I break bread, as I get to know you, I might be like, oh, I see how you're doing life, or, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And I will start to mold. I mean, that's what we do. But if we don't allow ourselves to rub elbows with people, we're missing out. So
I agree.
All right, what else you got?
Yeah, so I know we got a hard stop coming in 15. I guess we'll give you two. You could take two questions. What is the greatest barrier to the world that we want to see, in your opinion? Like, what is the greatest obstacle for us to overcome? Or I'd love to spend 15 minutes talking about what does it mean to be a man in a woman's eyes anymore from your lens. That's something I've been exploring hard and fast. Yeah.
Okay, the second one's more fun for me. Not that I'm an expert in that by any means, but I'm surrounded by a lot of good dudes. And so I'll get into that. I want to think, okay, the first question though was, what is the greatest barrier to creating this community that we're talking about?
Yeah, or the world. What stands in the way of the world in which, like, maybe more globally, like what is preventing the outcome that we seek? What is standing as the greatest threat or roadblock, so to speak?
Yeah. I'm with you. It is the ego of the current leaders. And that's not just like, I'm not talking White House. I'm saying anyone who's in leadership position, whether that be an influencer or whomever, whether that be the head of the house, whether that be whoever in my own life. Am I someone that is starting to calm our system, starting to say, hey, let's unplug 3 days a week. So starting in 2026, the invitation to you and your community, and there's information on this for Wild and Well Together, is the last day of the month and the first 2 days of the month, we're fully unplugged. That's 3 days times 12. So if math's right, 36 days out of the year that we're like, hey, I don't actually have to be on social media, have to be on like my phone all the time. I can unplug and start to see what happens in my system, start to see what happens in my community. So twofold, we need to start calming our systems and actually giving space so then when people do talk, we can listen. And secondly, those echo chambers and the ego that happens within the echo chambers. So I want to leave it at that because that could be a whole discussion in one, but that's what I would say for the barriers is how to unplug and to not being in those echo chambers when we are, or allowing ourselves to start to infiltrate or connect within those echo chambers.
Before I let you leave, so you said the ego to the echo chambers, make that connection for me. So the echo chambers is like these kind of disparate groups that are isolated. Is that what you're speaking to there? Or just the nature of social media? Or
yeah, nature of social media. But even like, let's say for you and I, we only surround ourselves with people who want to be part of the We 90. It is important that we still say, all right, you 5%, you 5%. I want to hear from you. I want to know, why is that so important? Because right now you're pulling more than the 90, or at least it seems that way. And so to say, how do I let my ego of I'm right, everything that I believe, even though to my core right now, I do believe in the we 90, or I believe in the quiet majority. I believe in that, in the thoughts, in the lifestyle and all of that, because I do think it's healthiest. However, how do I say, okay, Becca, I don't normally speak in third person, but for this conversation, okay, Becca, where am I being filled by over and over and over social media, my own friends that I've chosen, my mom, whomever that I love and adore, to continue to feed my thoughts I already have? Where am I putting myself into an uncomfortable situation, religion, wherever, and saying like, oh, I want to go to Qatar and meet with people, or I want to I want to chat with someone from rural Guatemala and say, teach me your ways. Like, what are your thoughts here? Or I want to call up Mondami's team and say like, hey, tell me why you think that democratic socialism in the capitalist society of the world is the most successful thing. I want to know that. And so do I have enough ego or enough awareness to say, for my ego to sit back and be curious, to have wonder like I did as a child? Because one, that's going to make me healthier mental health wise. It's going to, again, drop my cortisol levels, all of that. And two, it's going to allow me to then bridge and say, yeah, let's go kick it. Bring your favorite food. I'm going to try it. Please try mine. Let's have a good time and get into it. So that's what I mean by ego. It allows for curiosity. The removal of ego allows for curiosity, and then hopefully it'll infiltrate and start to dance and weave between the different echo chambers.
Understood. All right. The fun one.
All right. Men are awesome. Right now, there's a lot of hate towards men, right? And this is what I'll say is it's the sins of our fathers. It's the sins of our fathers forever back. There's a indigenous practice, I'll call it. It's this idea of 7 generations. If I've shared this before on my podcast, it'll be said over and over again. But 7 generations back, how do I reflect back and say, thank you for getting me here? Because we don't know the 7 generations. We might know 1, 2, 3 if we're lucky, but the 7 generations before us, we may be living their wildest dreams. So how do we have perspective and say thank you to the past, and also recognize some of the shame and heartache and hurt that people of the past created for us? And then it also says, let me sit in this and say, for those 7 generations to come beyond me, how do I live in a world and create a world so that I can allow them to live the best life possible? And so that's kind of the 7 generations idea. I think for men, ego, we talk about that. There's a lot of pride in men. There's also, I'll go in there. Within that pride is, how do we do life together? Talk about an elephant, a bull elephant. They are designed to be alone, right? They operate, even other mammals around man, like human men are loners, are alone. And so what does that then say? There's got to be some part of men's hind-brain that says, nope, I'm okay alone. I'm an alpha, or I'm content to be alone. And so I think then that builds up walls, that builds up this toughness that sometimes is really worth it, and sometimes also really hurts men. So my perspective as a woman is that we have a lot of men in 2025 who, one, are doing life alone and not made to. However, are pulled to that because it's like, where do I fit in? So I see a lot of men in that. I also see a lot of men providing, even as society says you suck, even as society says you are less than and you have hurt me and you as a whole are awful. I see that left and right. And then I also see men who carry a lot of silent weight, and at the most extreme are dying by suicide. A large portion are holding this silent weight of depression and anxiety and pain and hurt and loss, and don't have a way to release that. And then I see a lot of men who are doing the work to heal just as much as us women. And they're saying, hey, let me go out and create this industry, or let me be a stay-at-home dad, or let me be a friend to my wife. Let me be a dude that's like, let's go grab beers. And then I see a lot of strong men who just want to have fun. The best part about the man is how fun y'all make life. There's an energy about you that we as women, I don't know where it comes from, I haven't done enough studies on this, that in your nature are designed to play. We as women have to learn that more, of like, we don't just have to hold the heavy. Like, sure, that's important, but then let's go do social stuff together. Let's go play. Let's go. It would allow our levels of energy and our emotions to actually be regulated more. And I think men do actually a really beautiful job about that. And so my thoughts are, in 2025, men are so complex just as much as women. Society is yelling at y'all, saying how crappy you are. But ultimately, there's a lot of hurt. And also there's a lot of beauty within you, men, that I hope that the next round of feminism is women who respect the crap out of men and champion them as much as we champion other women.
And so we could have done a whole episode, and we might have to, on this, because there's so many ways I want to go with this, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that you adorned us. I think we're due for a little bit of that. But what is it? The essence of a good man. So I'll give you an example. Like, what is he supposed to? How is he supposed to show up? Right? What is he? And like, it's, it looks different. But like, what should we as men be seeking to do? And I don't know if this is true, but as my default is like, we're protectors and we're providers, right? And now it seems that there's not much to protect from, and there's no need to provide, because women they're at or beyond our capacity, right? I think there's women that I know that are running businesses far and away beyond anything that a man most men could achieve. So it's like, that's intimidating. It's like, I can't compete with that. I can't provide for those women, and God bless them. So it's like, what like, simply put, like, what should we men be seeking in the world? And you're not advertising as an expert in this field, but what is it that we should be aspiring towards? And I'll say one more thing as far as the crisis goes. And I don't know if you've studied this or seen this, but have you seen the 80-20? More or less 80% of women are competing for 20% of men. And then there's 80% of men that feel worthless and are lost. And I have my own theory, but I suppose just speak to that from your lens. What should we be aspiring? And assume that your audience is maybe 12 to 16-year-old boys becoming men that want to show up in the world in the most abundant way possible to find a mate that is worthy of him and that he is worthy of. He wants to build himself up into a strong husband and father someday. What does that look like for you?
Yeah. Those are heavy hitting questions. What I'd say, which is great. Like, I want to make sure that I give it the thought and the due diligence, because my brain was somewhere else on the individual man, and I can share that in a minute. But what's coming to me right now is, what are the freedoms that you felt, Kevin, as a child? Take yourself back to 5-year-old Kevin, 7-year-old Kevin, 10-year-old Kevin. What things made you come alive? How were you a good friend in those moments? And what did you want to be when you grew up? Not so you could impress those around you, but into the core of who you are. What did you want to be? Because what those 3 things say is, what's the service that you want to give to others? What fulfills you with your time? And how do you have fun in life? And I think we have a lot of men, again, because of society, because of other people. And there's a lot of boss ladies out there. And I'm not saying we need to strip down women in order for men to elevate. That is not what I'm saying in any way. Women, keep doing your thing and champion other women. Also champion men to fulfill those, to become who they are. Because right now we see in society women and men trying to crush patriarchy. And like, that just is a buzzword right now that drives me nuts, because it says, if you're a man, which is a God-given thing, if you are a man, you are a man. Like, you can't change that. We can change external, we can have surgeries, we can do all those things. However, we cannot change how we were designed initially, our identity to the core. Biologically, we can get into all of this. But in that, and your team can take this out or they can leave it. But is that men, and same with women, we have different biological design. And in that, socially, emotionally, physically, and we ebb and flow with masculine and feminine, but physically, emotionally, and socially, and cognitively, I'll add that one in, figuring out who you are and what makes you come alive then allows you to have the confidence. So if we go into protector and provider, for you and your boss wife, again, I don't know who makes more money. That doesn't matter to me. Men need to allow that ego to separate. What does it look like to provide space to say, whether I make more money or you make more money, I'm going to provide stability in your life. I'm going to provide a friendship and a partnership that says, I've got your back. So you go chase your dreams, even if that means I take a second seat, even if that means that I am here at the end of the day to have a warm meal with you or to cook that warm meal. We see more men cooking meals than they ever used to, right? Like some of those things, that's a provider that I believe in. And then protector. Can you protect her heart? Can you protect her mind? Can you physically protect her? You're a bigger dude than your wife, so I'm just going to call it what it is. Someone breaks into your house. I hope you have her back, right? I hope you probably step in front of her even too, but no doubt your wife could probably hold her own, right? Like Nick and I, we are equals. We bring 100% to the table. We bring 100% to the table, or we bring 90-90, or we bring some days 40 and 30, like whatever it is, but we're both 100 people. I'm married to an amazing man. At different parts of my season of life, he holds space that way I can just elevate and take off. Other parts of our lives, I step back and I say, hey, this is your time to shine. And that's just that dance and that balance in a partnership. So what I'd say for, again, when it talks about provide and protect, that looks a little different since we don't have bears, fortunately, coming at us, and we're not in wars all the time, right? For us in the US. Like, so provision looks a little different and protection looks a little different. But in that, what I was going to say is for men, find a hobby, do something that's shared activity, because that's actually the way that you take care of your mental health, right? And for us women, for us to say, okay, go do that. Because men learn to voice that of, hey, I need to go fish. I need to go work out. I need to go grab a beer with my boys. Not because I'm going to go do something, again, salacious, not because I'm going to go do something harmful or hurtful, but actually, I don't know how to take care of myself. I don't know how to drop this mask. Feels really vulnerable to say that. And so going to talk therapy actually isn't it, but going to fish with my boys or going to play ball with my boys or going to grab a beer with my boys, that allows me to heal. That allows me to start to do the work that I need to heal from that little boy to where I am now, or to find meaning in life, or to do something fun. So again, that's what I would say is men start to learn how to voice some of those things. And if not, advocate for a hobby or advocate for connection with other men, because that is where mental health is found for men.
Well said. Well said.
All right,
I love it.
Yeah. So that's just like the tip of the iceberg. What I'll say, I love the iceberg analogy, right? Like we're getting into the very top, but it is so deep. And my gender studies, people will disagree with. I'm okay with that. I'm studied up enough and have enough convictions in there to get to share ideas and hear from other people too. So I'm also great if you bring someone on who disagrees with me too, and we get to have those conversations and ask questions, because ultimately I'm about the curiosity and the wonder, with the hopes of like, hey, again, do you feel best about yourself? Are you living a life that fulfills, brings fun and enjoyment, and also provides for other people or serves other people? So if those three things are being met on the feminine side or the masculine side, it looks a little different, but that's the key to life to the full. So
beautiful. Well, I know we have a hard stop, but can we run 10 minutes? I want to run 10 minutes. I got one more.
Yeah. Do you think?
So how to human, I was good. How, if you got to just tell us how to human the best in your world, what's the best form? And then if it doesn't go here, you keep talking, you keep saying this word curious. And last year, I took curiosity and imagination and said, almost everything lies in these two words. And so I would ask you, why is curiosity fleeting? Where did it go? Where did we lose it? Because it is the enabler. If as soon as you're uncurious, you become rigid. And the only thing that you can be is fearful of anything that is outside of the bounds of what you've become certain of is fearful, which corresponds to an unknowing response of safety, which is anger, right? Anger is it's just fear. It really is. You're angry. So where did it go, I guess? And so tell us how to human, and if it relates to curiosity, great. If not, you could do that part too.
Your questions are really poignant, which I appreciate, or really specific. This is why you're a good podcaster.
I don't know about
because
that.
I would not initially how to human. I would not necessarily put curiosity. Like I'm not sure that word would have come out initially. However, you've been like, okay, let's hit the home run. Like let's not even swing for first or second base. Let's just hit the home run. Curiosity allows for freedom. It allows for risk in a way that doesn't harm us. It's a low stakes risk. And so if I say, I'm curious if if it's gonna snow tomorrow, right? Like that's pretty lighthearted. There's not a lot there. I'm like, okay, now my brain's starting to wonder. If I'm like, oh, I'm curious if Kevin has deep emotional anger towards his family members, right? Like I'm just taking it to the other side. And it's like, okay, where am I going with that? And that's just like two different examples of curiosity where it can take us. Oh, I'm curious about dinosaurs. Oh, awesome. That allows me to find purpose. That allows me to find meaning in life. That allows me to hopefully have some fun too. I think fun is similar to curious. It has been overused and oversaturated for so long that it's fleeting now. That's the word you just used. I would say, yeah, I'm not sure what word I would use to describe both of those circumstances right now, or those words. But curious and wonder allows us to play. It allows us to have fun. And like, what are we designed for? At the end of the day, we could say we're designed to create mega things, be billionaires, or to have 10 kids, or to have whatever. But ultimately, from birth to death, we are social beings. What we do with our time is up to us, actually, right? We have all these stigmas and standards of like, go to college or run this business or show up and provide. And those are all really good things. But ultimately, if I sit on my buns for the next 5, 10, 55 years, whatever the Lord gives me, my life will still exist. And so the question then becomes, how do I enhance my life? And that's the piece that I want for people, is when we remain curious, we allow an enhancement that we're not seeing right now, whether that be because I'm holding my phone for those I can't see, but like the phone, I'm so addicted to my phone. I'm really working on it. That's why I have some of these checkpoints in my life. But we are so distracted in the last 15 years that we are unable to remain curious. And that we're seeing in every other sphere is the fear, right? Like I'm fearful of people who don't sound like me, people who don't believe the same as me, people who challenge me, people who may not be my friend, right? Like whatever it is, that fear exists instead of just saying like, oh, I wonder if we would connect on the same food. Or I wonder if we could connect on a sports team. Often, especially traveling globally, I talk about football, soccer, because that's an easy connection point. I talk about food. That's an easy connection point. Some of those things, and because it bridges the gaps. So in How to Human, curiosity allows us to risk with low stakes, and curiosity allows us to find play, and it allows us to find fulfillment, which we need desperately to enhance our lives.
Beautiful. And then you related curiosity, because I stuck you with curiosity, and How to Human in that last bit, you didn't say anything about community. Is community at the essence or it's not?
Community is as I think we're social beings. So, okay, talk about, what do you call that? 10X? Like curiosity we need as individuals, because things within me, I may be curious about something that you are not. However, two pieces that then on the social side, if my disposition is curiosity, one, I'm far more inviting. Two, I'm far more pleasant to be around. And three, I build bridges and get to the answer. Like ultimately, if I'm trying to build a bridge physically, if I'm an engineer trying to build a bridge and I have 15 different people coming at me, if I can remain curious, I can still get that bridge built, and probably it's going to be faster actually, because I'm going to say to my different people, hey, have you thought about this? Hey, oh, tell me what your thoughts are on that. Oh, wait, what did you say about that? And it starts to create this evolution and this revolution that says, all right, let's tackle it, go at it. And it gets there much faster. Whereas if I'm like, oh no, I need to remain on top, or I'm fearful if I don't show up and show out, then it may not get done, or maybe whatever. Like then I become rigid. And it's like, this is the only way that this bridge can be built. And there might be cracks in the bridge. There might be misses in the bridge. I certainly will not be as good as if I socially, even in a workplace or professional place, if I said, hey, I wonder, and I start to invite other people into that dispositionally. So that's one thing of, yes, community matters. We are social beings, so it matters, the disposition. Secondly, talk about the 10X. Man, if we can get people as a community to be the do-gooder society or whatever, to be curious, that's like, it just makes me excited, because that 10X is what my curiosity as an individual. Because then I can say, oh yeah, I'm so curious about dinosaurs. Let's go into that. And someone else is like, oh, I'm a paleontologist. Let me tell you about this. Or like, oh, you're curious about that? I'm curious about space. And then we have 10 people talking about NASA and like all these cool things within space. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just learned so much by simply asking, tell me about dinosaurs. right? And that's a life worth living and fulfilled. So yes, community 10X's curiosity, or curiosity is double down 10X when it's done in community. It has to start as an individual, but it yeah. Oh my gosh, what a dream. I'm like excited and jazzed, and that would be the dream.
Good.
Yeah.
I have so many other things I want to dive into with you, but we're at time. So I'll thanks for coming. Is there anything you want to say as closing words to the audience that I have? I don't know if I even have one, but anything you would like to closing marks.
Miss Hohe, thank you for listening. Mom, thank you for listening. Appreciate
No,
I appreciate you. I think we got into some serious stuff. Like, I'm glad that this isn't the last time we'll talk. I'll leave it at that, because that's the fun part, is this is to be continued, and we shall see where it goes. But thank you so much for having me on. For those that do listen, come join the fun. It is fun. It's work. It's hard work, but it's so fun. So thank you, Kevin, for having me, and look forward to connecting the next time.
God bless. Thanks for being here.